Please subscribe my channel. I was checking zoning permits when my phone buzzed on my oak desk. It was my dad, Robert, sending a text about his 63rd birthday dinner that night. I figured it would be something about the guest list. Instead, the message made my blood run cold. Do not bring a fatherless child. It's a social burden I can't handle. He had just called my 3-year-old daughter extra baggage. I didn't drop the phone. I didn't cry. I just felt a clear, sharp focus take over. Before I explain who was sitting at my table that night and why my dad went pale when he saw us, leave a comment. What's the cruelest thing a family member has ever said to you? The air outside was sharp and chilly, the kind that stings your skin and wakes you up. I walked down the driveway, my shoes clicking steadily on the icy pavement. I didn't look back at the house. I didn't glance at the warm lights in the windows where my family was probably raising glasses to their own self-righteousness, happy to be free of the daughter who never quite matched their perfect image. They likely thought I was crying in my car. They probably pictured me driving off in tears, crushed and beaten. They were wrong. I wasn't crushed. I was focused and ready. I slipped into the driver's seat of my SUV and locked the doors. The quiet inside the car felt heavy, but not empty. It was the calm before a judge's gavel drops in court. I didn't start the engine right away. Instead, I grabbed my laptop from the passenger seat and opened it. The screen lit up blue in the dark, lighting my face. My hands were steady as I connected to my phone's hotspot. It was just after 8 p.m. By 8:30, their world would change forever. I logged into the banking site first. For 3 years, I had quietly supported my dad's lifestyle. When his building company failed, I stepped in without making a fuss. I simply set up an automatic payment. Every month on the 25th, $3,200 left my account and went straight to his mortgage company. He never thanked me. He never mentioned it. He just took the money like it was his right, something I owed him for being born. I looked at the scheduled payments section. The next one was set for 2 days later. I clicked and deleted the recurring transfer. Just like that, his safety net vanished. He didn't know yet, but he was enjoying staying in a house that was already behind on payments without my help. Next, I opened the admin portal for the Harris Family Trust. This was the detail my dad always ignored. He was the beneficiary, sure, but due to his past poor choices with money, the bank needed an independent manager. 5 years ago, he handed that control to me because he couldn't be bothered with the forms. He saw me as his assistant. He forgot I was also in charge of checking everything. I reviewed the recent transactions. There was a pending withdrawal set for January 2nd, $50,000. The note said business growth, which was Robert Harris's way of saying gambling losses and a fancy new car. I didn't just deny it, that would be too easy. I marked it as suspicious activity and possible fraud. Then I froze the account. A red warning popped up, account locked until reviewed. Only the manager could unfreeze it, and the manager had just been cut out. Finally, I thought about the desk. When my mom passed away, reading the will turned into a greedy show. My sister Amanda got the jewelry. My dad got the cash and property. I got the old writing desk from the study. They chuckled when the lawyer announced it. They called it worthless old wood. They didn't know Mom and I had a secret. That desk had a hidden compartment in the middle drawer. Inside wasn't junk. It was a record book. For 10 years, my mom had noted every dollar Robert took from her inheritance, every fake signature, every shady move to hide his mistakes. She was too scared to leave him, but smart enough to create proof for whoever would one day stand up to him. She left me the evidence. Tonight, I chose to use it. I shut the laptop. The blue glow disappeared, leaving me in darkness again. I started the car. As I backed out of the driveway, I looked once more at the house in the rearview mirror. It seemed grand and strong, a symbol of money and status. But from my view, I could spot the weak spots in its base. I put the car in drive and headed onto the road. The thermometer showed 22 degrees, but for the first time ever, the cold didn't bother me. The road ahead was clear, a long stretch of pavement disappearing into the night. I drove without thinking much, my thoughts going back to the house, the dinner table, and the faces of the people I'd spent my whole life trying to make happy. Why had I put up with it for so long? Why had I accepted the put-downs, the ignoring, the constant sense of not being enough. I remembered stories I'd read as a kid about circus elephants. When they're babies, they're tied to a small post with a light chain. They tug and fight, but they're not strong enough to escape. Over time, they give up. Even when they grow huge and powerful, they could break free with one pull. But they don't. They stay put because they still believe they're weak. They're trapped not by the chain, but by the memory of it. For 27 years, I'd been that elephant. I'd been taught that my value came from being useful. I mattered only when I fixed issues, paid bills, or cleaned up messes I didn't cause. My sister Amanda was the creative one, the carefree type who couldn't handle real duties. My dad was the big dreamer, the guy with huge plans that always needed cash but rarely succeeded. And I was the reliable one, the steady job, the savings, the good credit. I recalled when Amanda totaled her car just before turning 20. Dad called me in a panic, not asking if she was hurt, but if I could pay the insurance deductible since money was short. I covered it. I didn't even ask to be paid back. I just wanted to be seen as the good one, to earn the pride he gave her. But it never came. The chain stayed tight. I remembered when Dad borrowed $10,000 from my retirement savings for a friend's business idea. He swore he'd repay with interest in 6 months. That was 4 years ago. When I brought it up last Thanksgiving, he brushed it off, saying I was petty over family funds. The chain pulled tighter. Tonight at dinner, the chain finally broke. It wasn't the disowning that did it. It was the quiet, the total, heavy silence when I shared the biggest news of my life. In that instant, I saw the truth. They didn't love me. They loved what I gave them. They loved the backup plan I provided. The second I became a hassle, the second I had my own needs, or life, I was thrown away. I looked at my purse on the passenger seat. Inside was the ultrasound photo I'd meant to share. A small, blurry picture of my new baby. A strong feeling of protection surged through me. I wouldn't let this child grow up chained to a post. I wouldn't let them think love comes with conditions. I merged onto the interstate, blending into traffic. City lights streaked by in red and white blurs. I wasn't just leaving a bad meal. I was escaping years of training. The fear was there, but so was the thrill. The post was pulled out. The chain was snapped. For the first time, I was fully free to choose my path. I picked up my phone and called the one person I knew would answer. Aunt Laura picked up on the second ring. "Emily, are you all right?" "No," I said, my voice calm. "It's all ending, and it's all just starting." Christmas morning at Aunt Laura's house was peaceful. It smelled like fresh cinnamon buns and brewed coffee, a big difference from the showy luxury at my dad's place in Denver. No stacks of expensive presents under the tree. No hired help quietly serving. Just Laura in her cozy robe, handing me a cup of tea, with the gentle sound of the furnace running. It would have been perfectly calm if my phone hadn't been buzzing on the counter for 3 hours. I left it on. I wanted proof. I wanted to note the exact time reality hit them. At 9 a.m., a voicemail came in. It was Robert. I played it on speaker so Laura could listen. "Emily, you ungrateful thief. The bank just notified me. The trust is frozen. Who do you think you are? That's my money. Unlock it in 5 minutes, or I'm calling the cops. I'll have you charged with stealing. You think you can storm out and destroy this family? You're nothing without me. Fix it now." His voice broke at the end. It wasn't a powerful roar. It was the whine of a trapped animal. Laura stared at me, eyes big. "He's threatening the police." "No," I replied quietly, sipping my tea. "He won't. If he does, they'll want the records. And those records send him to jail for fraud. He's faking it. He's scared." Moments later, a text from Amanda. She was meant to check into a ski lodge in Vail that morning. A trip charged to the family card I always paid. Card declined. "Seriously? I'm at the desk with friends. This is embarrassing. Fix it. Dad says you messed with the accounts. You're ruining my holiday." So selfish. I read the messages, the threats, the name calling, the orders. For years, outbursts like this would have panicked me. I'd rush to send money, say sorry, make it right to restore calm. But today, staring at the screen, I felt detached, like watching an experiment. Why does he dislike you so much? Laura asked softly. You helped him more than anyone. You rescued him. Why toss you aside? I looked at my aunt. Because I know the truth. I finally understood what really happened at dinner. It wasn't about the baby or appearances. It was fear. My dad has lived behind a fake image his whole life. The successful businessman, the rich family leader, the winner. Everyone believes it. Amanda does. The neighbors do. But I don't. I see the records. I see the debts, the failures, the stolen moments. I'm the mirror showing when he sees me, he sees the daughter who failed him. He sees the skill he doesn't have. My steady life makes him feel unsteady. He didn't cut me off because I failed him. He did it because I know removing me protected his pride. He chooses the pretend life of being wealthy and victimized over the real one of being broke and saved. He's all show, I said, putting the phone down. And he just learned I removed the support. I got up and went to the window. Snow was falling heavier. He threatened to sue for theft, I added. Let him. I have one last surprise, and he'll get it today. Laura sat at the table, watching me sort the papers from my bag. She looked worried for me. She still viewed Robert as unstoppable, someone who could ruin challengers. She didn't know I'd built the weak points years ago. Emily, she said gently, circling her mug. I get your anger. You deserve it, but watch out. Robert brags about powerful connections. That investor group that bought his loans when the bank tried to take the house in Seattle back in 2020. He says they adore him, gave him endless time. I stopped with the papers. A small smile formed. He can't call them, Laura. They aren't real. She looked confused. What? He showed letters from Apex Partners. They saved the property. I saved it, I said. Apex Partners is a fake company I set up in Wyoming 3 years ago. I'm the only owner and decision maker. I'm the investor. Laura went quiet, glancing between me and the laptop, grasping the size of the deception. When the bank started foreclosure, I explained calmly, Dad wouldn't accept direct help from me. Too proud. So I created a tale he could swallow, a top firm betting on his future. He signed without reading, too caught up in his ego. I pushed the loan papers over and pointed to the key section. Laura read it and stiffened. By disowning me, I said, he triggered instant default. Kicking me out meant kicking himself out legally. The clause, she murmured. Demand for full payment in 48 hours. I nodded. I hadn't fooled him. I'd counted on his ego, his assumption I wasn't worth careful review. He saw it as a family argument. It was a takeover. That New Year's Eve, he showed up at my apartment, broken and pleading. You own the house, he croaked. I own the loan, I replied. You own the results. He called it betrayal. I noted I'd kept him from ruin, and he repaid by removing me from his will. When anger didn't work, he tried emotion, mentioning my pregnancy. No, I said. You don't get to use my baby to fix your messes. I gave him a packet. This isn't bargaining. It's your way out. Inside. A paid-off condo in Arizona, plus a monthly allowance, if he transferred the property, dropped all claims, and agreed to never contact me. You're banishing me, he said. I'm giving you a graceful exit over public loss. He signed. The house was mine. I didn't keep it the same. I changed it, cleared his old influences, fresh paint, turned his office into a baby's room. I wasn't deleting history. I was fixing it. On New Year's Day, I had dinner for the people who truly cared. Nothing fancy, no ranks, just real warmth, laughs, and a table I set myself. I finally got it. True win isn't fighting for a spot at a table that rejects you. It's creating your own and deciding who joins. This wasn't just a building anymore. It was a home.